While I was sitting here, I was wondering, yes, indeed, we are 1,000 miles, 1,000 kilometers, 1,500 plus kilometers away from Kolkata. And why are we sitting in Delhi University Law Faculty and wanting to discuss Bengal? And as I was sitting here, I remembered, and I'll just name three very eminent Bengalis who were part of the Delhi University ecosystem. Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, for many of you who may know, may not know, delivered his last convocation address to the Delhi University in December 1952. Even after being a full-time politician, even after being a member of the parliament and a union minister, Dr. Mukherjee would continue delivering convocation addresses across the country because primarily he was an educationist, वो शिक्षाविद थे. And in December 1952, he delivered the convocation address to the University of Delhi. He passed away in Srinagar in June 1953 under mysterious circumstances. The other eminent Bengali who taught at the Delhi School of Economics, who was obviously a Marxist, but nevertheless a great scholar, a great thinker, finance minister of West Bengal, member of the Rajya Sabha, himself a very well-known economist, and a master at writing obituaries, and that was Dr. Ashok Mitra. He taught for many years here, and I enjoy reading him, though he is always he's on the other side, ideological. But a quintessential Bengali Bhadralok, leader, a breed which is becoming increasingly rare in the public sphere of West Bengal today. And the third scholar that I remember, I would like to recall, is Professor Shishir Kumar Das of Delhi University English Department. A formidable scholar, a Bengali scholar and scholar of English literature. And one of his principal contribution was the English writings of Rabindranath Tagore. The Sahitya Academy printed it, published it. It's a wonderful collection of English writings, not translations, but the original writings of Tagore, of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore in English. And Gurudev would always say that, I don't know how to write English, I'm not conversant in English, I'm more comfortable in Bangla. But if you read his English writings, you can also connect to Tagore through his English writings also, not only Bangla for those of you who don't know Bangla. Now friends, yes, why are we discussing West Bengal? And why should Bengal matter for us? I'll start with a very few observations and then a bit more about the book, and then we can conclude because I don't want to drag it very long. ठीक है ना, मैं थोड़ा बोल रहा हूँ, बीच-बीच में हिंदी में बोलूँगा. ये thinking थोड़ा easy हो जाता है. Obviously, but my Hindi is better than the Hindi that you're used to listening to in West Bengal from a particular individual, time to time. You know what I mean, or you know whom I am pointing at. Now, please remember, as we get into the topic, West Bengal is a border state. It has a 1,000+ kilometer long border with Bangladesh, and that border is extremely porous. Not whole of that border is fenced. You may know that 600+ kilometers of that border has not been fenced because the West Bengal state government has repeatedly stalled allotting land for fencing of the border. And just about 20 days ago, the Supreme Court of India, and please look into that observation, that observation rather, made a very caustic observation against this habit of stalling projects that are connected to national security. Lieutenant General Subrata Saha had made that petition, and the Supreme Court had made a very clear observation on how it cannot be stalled. The state government is duty bound within a certain framework to allot land so that fencing can be completed. When there's no fencing in such a porous border where you have ponds, you have water bodies, you have jungles, you have forests, you have dry river beds, which are open for all kind of illicit trafficking, you realize that it's a grave threat to national security. Friends, you must have all also heard, read, because you are all an informed audience, more informed than many of us, because आप लोग Gen Z हैं और हम लोग तो अभी Gen क्या है, X, Y, Z जो भी है, हम लोग पीछे पीछे जा रहे हैं. You must have heard of the chicken's neck. You must have followed the national security imperatives that the chicken neck throws up. And you know this entire situation that had developed till not very long ago in Bangladesh on the other side. You had representatives of the Lashkar-e-Taiba of Hafiz Saeed going around on the other side of the border along the chicken's neck. You know how on the other side of the border along the chicken's neck, old airfields were suddenly activated. There was a lot of mobilization. And so, repeatedly, and the caretaker, the former caretaker president or prime minister, the caretaker head of the Bangladesh government, one Nobel laureate, a Bengali Nobel laureate, suddenly started saying that, Northeast is landlocked, and so we can form the corridor to the Northeast, implying that India's Northeast can be separated from India, and that please take care of your chicken's neck, otherwise we'll cut off that neck. Now, it's a different matter that, if we have chicken's neck, Bangladesh has chicken's leg in Chittagong, and we would all like to have a very bite into a very juicy chicken's leg also. That's a different matter. I'm not getting into that because obviously now we have a different dispensation in Bangladesh, which looks to be a responsible dispensation, but I'll come to that a little later. I'm telling you, why should we be discussing West Bengal? First, from the national security point of view. Because if today that corridor, which links not only North Bengal, but the rest of Northeast with India, is cut off, then it's going to be disastrous for us in terms of national security. Or not even cut off, even if it is threatened. And therefore, what is needed in West Bengal today is a dispensation which takes into account India's national security concern being a border state. We need a dispensation in Bengal which condemns the attacks on Jawans in Pulwama and doesn't question the Indian Air Force. We need a dispensation in West Bengal where the head of the state of West Bengal, you remember in 2016 something very peculiar happened. Late Manohar Parrikar ji was the defense minister. And you suddenly realize that in 2016, the chief minister of West Bengal suddenly locks herself up for 36 hours in her secretariat. Literally, please go. These letters are all there online. You can Google. Manohar Parrikar writes to the chief minister of West Bengal. You can Google that and see that a particular, because the absurdity makes you laugh, makes you chuckle, that an elected chief minister of an Indian state can lock herself up for 36 hours in her chamber and say that the Indian army is planning a coup against me is something that has actually happened. It has happened in independent India in 2016. And then you realize that the Indian army was actually carrying out a survey of the highways, the arterial highways. What was it doing? It does this exercise every year. It computes and analyzes the volume of traffic passing along that highway. And then it makes an assessment as to how much volume of traffic can flow through that highway during an emergency situation and how fast can the Indian army mobilize. And so late Manohar Parrikar had to write to the chief minister of West Bengal saying that please keep the Indian army out of politics. The Indian army is not a politicized institution. We have a tradition of remaining apolitical. So I think, friends, from the point of view of national security, and I'll just go a bit back, October 2014. Please recall, you can type for those of you who are interested. Just beside Bardhaman University, a little away from Bardhaman University, and I try and make this reference because it's your university and we know. You had a serial blast in a village called Khagragar. A serial blast. Where did that blast occur? It occurred in a arms and ammunition kind of a workshop that was being run by sleeper cells of the Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh, JMB. ये अभी भी एक्टिव है ये संस्था, ये अंडरग्राउंड है। लश्कर तैयबा के साथ इनका बहुत अच्छा तालमेल भी है और बीच बीच में ये बोलते रहते हैं हम कलकत्ता को उड़ा देंगे, बॉम्बे को उड़ा देंगे, जैसे ये पाकिस्तान वाले कहते हैं ना, ये लोग भी कहते हैं वैसे। एंड सडनली देयर वाज दिस ह्यूज ब्लास्ट इन दैट विलेज एंड यू हैड द नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एडवाइजर श्री अजित डोवल who flew down, who went and saw for himself, carried out an inspection for himself on the condition, and that was the first time that you realized the magnitude of penetration, infiltration that the Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh had undertaken in West Bengal. दोवल साहब वहां से निकल के कोलकाता आए। कोलकाता में स्टेट सेक्रेटरिएट में सबके साथ बैठ के उन्होंने बैठक किया। मुख्यमंत्री जी भी उपस्थित थे वहां। उन्होंने उनको बताया कि ये कितना गंभीर एक परिस्थिति है और इसमें हमको बहुत सजग रहना चाहिए, आने वाले दिनों में क्या हो सकता है और क्या हमको करना चाहिए। दोवल साहब लौट गए, फिर वापस दिल्ली आए। इस अहम बैठक के एक दिन बाद पश्चिम बंगाल के मुख्यमंत्री सार्वजनिक तौर पे एक बयान देती है। क्या कहती है? वो कहती है कि ये सब ब्लास्ट जो हुआ है ये सब भारतीय इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज का काम है, ये वो टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने नहीं किया। So friends, I'm just, and these are all recorded, it's not rhetoric, because when I am in a academic space, obviously otherwise also I don't, but in an academic space I don't indulge in rhetorics. You can Google for yourself, you can type for yourself. This was in October 2014. Now I'll just go back 1 year further behind. March 2013. Again, please look for it online. March 2013 saw something unprecedented happen on the streets of Kolkata. क्या हुआ था? 2013 मार्च में कोलकाता के 16 संस्था, उसमें जो कहते हैं कि रैडिकल इस्लामिक संस्था थे, अजीब अजीब संस्था थे, 16 ऐसे संस्था एकत्रित होकर कोलकाता के मैदान में उन्होंने जनसभा किया और फिर जनसभा करके वहां से फिर इन लोगों ने पदयात्रा किया। इनका डिमांड था शेख हसीना को फांसी लगाओ और वो जमात के खिलाफ या वॉर क्राइम्स ट्रायल जो हो रहा था बांग्लादेश में, आपको याद होगा कि बांग्लादेश में वॉर क्राइम्स ट्रायल हो रहा था। यानी वॉर क्राइम्स ट्रायल क्या था? 71 में जिन लोगों ने पाकिस्तान के साथ हाथ मिला के बांग्लादेश लिबरेशन वॉर का विरोध किया और वहां जो कत्लेआम हुआ, जेनोसाइड जो हुआ, इन लोगों ने समर्थन किया। इनके खिलाफ शेख हसीना सरकार ने गठन किया था वॉर क्राइम्स ट्राइब्यूनल और एक एक करके उनको सजा दे रहा था। तो ये सारे कोलकाता में खड़ा होकर कह रहा था वो बंद करो और शेख हसीना को फांसी दो, और पश्चिम बंगाल के उस समय का सरकार ने कुछ नहीं किया, इनको परमिशन दिया, सब कुछ किया। Now I'll just come to one last example. नेशनल सिक्योरिटी हम लोग क्यों डिस्कस कर रहे हैं फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ नेशनल सिक्योरिटी। विनय जी हैं बैठे, वो दिखते हैं बहुत ऐसे सरल लिखने पढ़ने वाले टाइप, पर इन्होंने पीएफआई के खिलाफ बहुत लिखा, पीएफआई को क्यों बैन करना चाहिए। और आप जानते हैं कि पीएफआई का क्या कार्यकलाप था, वो क्या कर रहे थे, उनका स्टेटेड एजेंडा भी क्या था? ओवरथ्रोइंग द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पार्लियामेंट्री सेटअप, डेमोक्रेटिक सेटअप इन इंडिया। तो ये फरवरी 2022 पीएफआई ने मुर्शिदाबाद में एक बड़ा कार्यक्रम किया। उस समय बैन नहीं हुआ। पीएफआई ने मुर्शिदाबाद में एक बड़ा कार्यक्रम किया, फुल फ्लेजेड यूनिफॉर्म पहन के। उस कार्यक्रम के लिए एक स्कूल, सरकारी स्कूल का जगह भी उनको दिया गया, परमिशन मिला उनको। उस कार्यक्रम में पीएफआई के सेक्रेटरी, एसडीपीआई के सारे लोग थे मंच पे, उस विधानसभा के चुने हुए प्रतिनिधि भी, विधायक भी उपस्थित थे और उस कार्यक्रम में मूल जो वक्तव्य था, दैट ओवरथ्रोइंग, दैट दिस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विल नॉट वर्क, ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का हम विरोध कर रहे हैं, ये देश को हम अलग ढंग से आजाद करेंगे. दिस वॉज द crux of what was discussed. Friends, you must have also noticed in the last few years an arterial highway like NH12, पहले जो NH34 था, अभी NH12 है, जो कोलकाता से सिलीगुड़ी तक और गुवाहाटी तक जो हाईवे जाता है, वो हाईवे धीरे धीरे अभी 4 लेन बना है. पहले हमारे बचपन में 2 लेन, सिंगल लेन 2 लेन हाईवे था, अभी वो 4 लेन हाईवे बना है. इट हैज बिकम वेरी फास्ट. हाईवेज पिछले 12 साल में ऐसा बन गया है कि आप कोलकाता से निकलेंगे तो पूरा मुर्शिदाबाद क्रॉस करके बहरमपुर तक आप पहुंच जाएंगे 4.5 घंटा में, पहले 6-7 घंटा लगता. And also please remember that is an arterial highway through which the Indian Army makes fast movements connecting South and North Bengal and the Northeast, because then you pass through the Chicken's Neck. पिछले 2 साल से 3 साल से आप देखेंगे कि जब भी कोई ये सीए के समय में शुरू हुआ, the anti-CA protest saw that highway getting blocked. First it starts with a 2-hour blockade, it goes up to a 6-hour blockade. Just a few days ago, on the SIR issue, that arterial highway saw a 17 hours blockade. I don't think it is just a political messaging, because there is a larger conspiracy in trying to test our national security resilience, in trying to test how our infrastructures can actually absorb or address when such challenges come. इसलिए हमको that is why we need to discuss Bengal, and that is why Bengal matters. It must matter to all of us, whether we are Bengali or we are not. It must matter to all of us as conscious citizens of India who are concerned about India's national security, who realize that we are having to battle, to face challenges at multiple level, and one of the major challenges that we are facing today is that of national security. हम लोग law faculty में बैठे हैं, तो you must have heard just about 3-4 days ago in Malda, when the judicial officers were accosted and for 17 hours they were gherao. And what is gherao? Gherao is a very Bengali political terminology which the left had actually mastered and which has now been extremely mastered. 17 hours judicial officers who were carrying out their Supreme Court directed duty on the SIR, the adjudication, etc., including women judicial officers. For 17 hours they were gheraued, they were denied water and food, and after 17 hours when they were released finally, their vehicles were pelted with stones, and all of you must have heard the panting out of breath voice of the lady judicial officer who was continuously asking for reinforcement because the pilot car, the patrol and the pilot car had broken down. Never in the history of any state, or perhaps in the history of independent India, the Chief Justice of India makes this observation, makes the kind of observation that he did on 2nd April 2026. The Honorable Chief Justice of India says, "We are informed that the situation was so dire," para 4, "that even food and water were not permitted to be supplied to the judicial officers. The Honorable Chief Justice further pointed out that neither the district magistrate nor the superintendent of police had reached the office where the officers were gheraued. The Chief Justice was thereafter constrained to contact the DGP of police," the Chief Justice of Calcutta High Court. His phones were he tried to keep calling the concerned officers, they wouldn't take his call. Shockingly, when the judicial officers were released, para 6, around midnight and were returning to their respective places of stay, their vehicles were pelted with stones and attacked with bamboo sticks and bricks. Judicial officers. They were just carrying out the order of the Supreme Court of India. In the sense, when the President of India faces unprecedented insult in a state which is known for its, high, its high approach, its high behavior, its sublimity, it's cause for concern. The first woman tribal president of India. And then you see the kind of observation that the Honorable Chief Justice of India makes. And then the most damning indictment, para 10, in our considered view, and having regard to the attendant circumstances, the incident that took place is a brazen attempt not only to browbeat judicial officers, but also amounts to a challenge to the authority of this court. This incident certainly cannot be construed to be a routine occurrence, and ex facie appears to be a calculated, well-planned and deliberate act intended to demoralize judicial officers and obstruct the ongoing process of adjudication of objections in the remaining cases. Premeditated, well calculated, well executed. The Chief Justice, Honorable Chief Justice of India, makes this observation. So friends, today, neither the President of India is sacrosanct, neither the judiciary is sacrosanct, and nobody escapes insult, nobody escapes brickbats, and there is a repeated challenge to the authority of and the writ of the Supreme Court of India in this particular state. Does it mean that they would want the state to be separate? There is certainly a forced emotional separatism that is being put. As a Bengali, I feel extremely distressed. As a citizen of India, we should feel distressed. As law experts, law students who aspire to take up a career in law, I think they should also form a case study where the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India, had to come out and give this kind of observations. Now, friends, I just come to the last part because you'll have to tell me when to stop, because I don't follow the 60-minute rule, obviously, because that will be too much. But that when one is speaking, one enjoys the sound of one's voice, but then it becomes a torture for those who are sitting in front. I think you're sufficiently aware, you have understood, you are already aware of it. I wanted to put this in context, therefore. Now, in this book that we have very hastily put together, and especially I want to thank my co-author, a very young, committed, talented researcher. And I want to also tell you his background, because very briefly, he has repeatedly faced false cases repeatedly being foisted on him because he's vocal on social media, because he takes a certain position on social media. So today, you have a peculiar situation in West Bengal where you can't even express yourself on social media. And even if you express yourself in a very supported manner, with facts and figures, you are sent notices. You are asked to appear in the local police station. You are victimized. Sitting here in Delhi, we can hardly imagine the situation on the ground. And I'm telling you all this based on facts, as I come to you as a researcher. And so he did a lot of groundwork for this. And then when he came up with the idea, so I said, please go ahead, work on it. Then we started working on it. I said, let's give it a larger canvas. Let people understand why Bengal matters and why Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been for the last 12 years repeatedly focusing on Bengal. For the last 50 years, Bengal has not seen a grand idea or a narrative. And that's why we say Bengal matters. Look, you study, you look at the past. Even after suffering the Bengal famine of 1943, which nearly saw 3 million people die, after 43, 47, when Bengal got divided, even after that, till the early 60s, Bengal led in terms of economic output, industrial output, continued to be the center of education and whatnot. For the last 50 years, there's been a clear disconnect, as we see it. A clear disconnect. There has been no grand idea that could drive West Bengal. West Bengal as the gateway to Southeast Asia. West Bengal not only as a gateway, because a gateway is a gateway. West Bengal as a bridge to the ASEAN. West Bengal through the sea, the Indian Ocean, right up to the South China Sea, can be a major geographical region through which India interacts with this part of the world. West Bengal as a driver of Purvoday. You must have read in a number of PM's speeches, in his narratives, he keeps talking about Purvoday. What is Purvoday? He says that there has been a lopsided and imbalanced development after 1947. The western part of India developed much faster than the eastern part of India. But that has to be rectified now. And he's continuously harping on Purvoday, where northeast, the eastern part of India, from with Bihar, with Jharkhand, with West Bengal, Odisha, and the northeast, becoming a major chunk, a major geographical chunk which will drive India's growth. And therefore, Bengal matters. Every scientist once upon a time, major writer, major thinkers, jurists, they were all part of the Bengali narrative, of the Bengal narrative, reformers. And for the last 50 years, we have become a laggard state in a number of parameters. We describe that parameter in Bengal Matters. But there has been a constant attempt in the last 12 years to mainstream Bengal. And therefore, the major battle, the major focus, the major challenge is to mainstream Bengal with the national mainstream. Because Bengal is getting marginalized, has adopted a way, an approach which is constantly in conflict with the national mainstream. But this was not there earlier. I mean, if I just give you a figure, West Bengal's Chief Minister, Dr. B.C. Roy, who was a doctor after whom the National Doctors' Day is also on his birthday is commemorated. Dr. B.C. Roy belonged to the Congress. But when it came to Bengal's interest, Dr. B.C. Roy and Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee as Union Minister, Dr. B.C. Roy as Chief Minister of West Bengal from the Congress, he from the Janasangh and earlier from the Hindu Mahasabha, there was no difference. And both of them embodied this, a convergence between regional aspirations and national development. कोई conflict नहीं था, कोई क्या विरोध, परस्पर विरोध नहीं था, ये परिपूरक थे. Regional aspiration and national development can go hand in hand, but for the last 50 years, what have we seen? We have seen a constant conflict. It is an engineered conflict between the national mainstream, the national goals, and West Bengal's development. Now, I'll give you, since we are sitting in a university, I'll just give you one brief example of the condition of universities in West Bengal. Now, 13 universities were there before 2011, there were 13 universities. Now 16 universities more have been constructed in West Bengal, founded in West Bengal. Because the Chief Minister of West Bengal had once said, why should Bengal's students run to Chicago and Harvard when we can create Chicago and Harvard like universities here itself? A very noble idea, nobody will dispute it. I mean, absolutely, there's no dispute. I mean, it could have been that we want to create Nalanda. Why should we replicate Chicago and Harvard in India? We can replicate Nalanda and Vikramshila, but that's all right. Point taken. She wanted to create that. Now, between 2017 and 2018, the present government of West Bengal established 11 universities across North Bengal and down south. And out of those 11 universities were examined. Out of 16, 11 universities were examined. None have permanent faculty. Most depend on guest lecturers. And in many universities, the student strength has been repeatedly declining. I'll just give you one example out of these 11 universities. The Dakshin Dinajpur University in Balurghat. Balurghat is where Dr. Sukanto Majumdar, who's the MOS Education, is the member of parliament. But these are state universities. Otherwise, what they'll do is they'll cut my this and say that, oh, Balurghat University. This is a state university. Started functioning in 2021. It has 250 students. And in the first academic session, which started in October 2021, a number of courses were announced. This university has been functioning from rented accommodation, and then it has now shifted to a hostel. Students who got admission in the first year of admission were 136 students, of whom 39 dropped. In 2022, 105 students, but 69 left. In 2023, 133 took admission, but 92 dropped. In 2025, 105 took admission only, leaving about 250 students on its roll. And only 21 guest faculties are running this university. So friends, what I'm saying is, there's no grand idea. You want to create universities at the center of West Bengal, which was the center of knowledge. You want to create universities, but there is nothing permanent about those universities. You have not even been able to give a campus. 2 kilometers away, an 11-acre plot has been identified for this university. But since 2021, only cows are grazing on that plot. There's been no building which has come up. So what we have been saying in this book, please go through it. Obviously, it could have been, there's no end to making a book bigger and larger. But since this was for a specific purpose, it was a certain narrative that we wanted to push. So we say that Bengal matters because a lot has been done. There has to be change so that that lot can become more. And that Bengal has to be mainstreamed because it is becoming marginal to the India discourse. It is becoming marginal to the Viksit Bharat discourse. It is becoming marginal to the India 2047 discourse. When we say that it's going to be a Samrid and Viksit Bharat, where does Bengal figure into that? And therefore, we have gone on, we have made a number of very fact-based observations. We have also, for my sisters who are here, 27% of the national acid attacks that take place are from West Bengal. The highest number of child marriages continue to be in West Bengal, in a state which produced Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. And it is just being brushed under the carpet. The state is not willing to address. If you look at the number of schools that have faced closure, the number of schools that have faced closure, and if you look at it, you'll be appalled that in a state where at one time from all across India people would come to get enrolled and educated, you have today nearly 8,000 plus schools, government schools, which have been permanently shut, forcing 9 lakh students to flee to private institutions. Many of them can't afford perhaps. They have just perhaps dropped out. 18,000 ghost teachers across 3,800 zero enrollment schools, accounting for 86.3% of India's total zero enrollment institutions. There is no roadmap. So what we are saying is that if Bengal comes to the mainstream, there'll be a lot of energy and backup that can be more forthcoming, because a lot that is coming is being stalled. Of the kind of diversion of central funds that have taken place, whether it is in the Jal Jeevan mission, whether it is in the 100 days Manrega allotment, whether it is in the PM Awas, all this is fact based. So can we have a system where there is a synergy between the center and the state, where obviously the President of India doesn't face insult, where national security is not at stake, and where the basics, I mean, if I give you the figure of the kind of the figures that have been released just for basic tap water connection, no resources have been withheld, resources have been given, but there has been no accountability of those resources. Those resources have not been spent in the way they were to be spent. They were meant to be spent. And one cannot question that, because if you question, then you will be labeled as politically motivated. So I think it's a drop in the ocean, the very small effort that we have made is keeping this in mind. That friends, 50 years in the life of a state is a very long time. West Bengal was created in 1947, and one of the fundamental purpose of creating the state was that it remains, a portion of it remains as a fundamental and integral unit of the Indian Union. Today, there's a large question mark that is being deliberately manufactured on that integrality. There is a deliberate attempt to hammer in a narrative which says that West Bengal is different. It is separate. It doesn't want to follow the federal structure. It doesn't want to be part of the federal structure. There is a manufactured narrative which is saying that West Bengal is being discriminated against, but the figures that we have upheld in this book show that the story is otherwise. In no other state, whichever party it is ruled by, in no other state will you see politics entering into development. In no other state will you see a political mindset being infused in the federal approach that India stands on. And that is why Honorable Chief Justice of India has also said that it is the most politicized state. You bring in politics into everything, he told the Advocate General of the state. It feels bad to hear that, but it is the bitter truth. So can we now separate that? Let the politics be part of the politics, but let's take the state forward towards development. There is for the last 25 years, Gujarat Vibrant Summit has been going on. There has been no hiatus in that Gujarat Vibrant Summit. You know the kind of investment that is coming. You know the kind of projects that are being started. There is जो कहते हैं ना कि हिसाब देते हैं, यहाँ Bengal means business. Business summit होता है, पर अगर आप हिसाब चाहते हैं, हिसाब अगर आप मांगते हैं कि बताइए कि सार्वजनिक तौर पे कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट आया है और किन किन प्रकल्पों में ये इन्वेस्टमेंट को डाला गया है, तो हिसाब नहीं देते हैं और कहते हैं कि आप अराजकता फैलाने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं. So there is no accountability. There is no performance audit that has happened in the state. And this has been going on for the last 50 years. 50 years. We have come at a decisive time when that has to be reversed. We can have our own political opinion. But as conscious citizens, as some of us who are from West Bengal, I think our collective synergy must be to, hey, let's get the state back on track. Let us get it back on track. Let us bring it back mainstream and then decide. Then let the people of the state take another choice if they wish to. That is all we express in this, and thank you so much for very kindly listening to my observation. Extremely grateful to all of you and to the organizers and to ma'am for your gracious welcome and for your support for this. Thank you so much. And I'm happy to see that I'm sure Bengal matters for all of us. I'm sure, again, I'll have on my timeline today अरे ये इलेक्शन प्रचार नहीं कर रहा, वहां नहीं है, दिल्ली में जाकर भाषण कर रहा है, वहां भी इलेक्शन प्रचार कर रहा है। मैं बोलने देता हूं, ये मेरा यहां आकर प्रचार करने का उद्देश्य नहीं था। सचेतन नागरिक है, ये संविधान, ये देश हमारा है, और ये जो सारे आप लोग जो बैठे हैं, ये आप अमृतकाल की पीढ़ी हैं। 2047 में आप नेतृत्व देंगे इस देश का, जिस जैसे आप ज्यूरिस्ट बनेंगे, जजेस बनेंगे, आने वाले दिनों में आप पब्लिक जो नैरेटिव है उसको आप शेप करेंगे। तो हमको इस प्रदेश को मेन स्ट्रीम जो करना चाहिए, इसका दायित्व हम सबका है, किसी एक व्यक्ति का नहीं है। इसलिए मुझे लगा कि यहाँ दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में आकर अगर ये किताब के बारे में और पश्चिम बंगाल के बारे में कुछ शब्द मैं यहाँ रख सकता हूँ, तो ये देश भर में इसका एक शायद क्या कहते हैं, गूंज तो बहुत बड़ा शब्द हो जाएगा, पर देश भर में इट विल एटलीस्ट कैच सम अटेंशन, बिकॉज देयर इज एन इंक्रीजिंग फीलिंग, देयर इज एन इंक्रीजिंग एंगस्ट अबाउट द स्टेट ऑफ वेस्ट बंगाल। थैंक यू सो मच।